Hello everyone, it's Fjarlar, and we were supposed to talk about Angelica today. However, because of our recent announcement, I felt that it was necessary for me to throw this video together real quick. So we'll talk about Angelica next time. For now, let's talk about this joint battle event that they recently announced. This joint battle event is an event that took place in the Chinese server back in January. As you can see on screen, it lasted for 6 days, and during this time they actually expanded the joint battle time slot for the Chinese server. Now normally the Chinese server actually only has one joint battle time slot, but because this obviously effectively doubles the amount of joint battles you have to do, they added an entire extra time slot plus 1 extra hour in the normal time slot they usually have. Currently I'm not sure if they're going to do anything similar for global, but hopefully they will. So let's start by talking about the rewards from this mode. This event was run on Monday through Saturday, and because there's no gold stage, every single stage in this mode actually drops gold. And like joint battle, the normal one stage will drop weapons, one will drop armor, and one will drop bond materials. It should also be noted that the known drop list for this mode does not include a lot of the quote-unquote rare SSRs, like Extreme Magic Bow, Balance Blade, Last Rites, etc. So if you're looking for those items, unfortunately you will not be getting them here. Nevertheless, it's still a nice way to get some extra red ore, and like the standard joint battle, SSR enchantment scrolls can drop. So let's talk about the fights themselves now. So first I have to say that you don't have to be too concerned about these fights. From what I can tell, the difficulty on these fights is scaled quite low, and you can clear them pretty easily as long as you understand all the mechanics. And just like the normal joint battle, the fights are scheduled as Monday plus Tuesday for one of them, Wednesday plus Thursday, and Friday plus Saturday. And of course I should also note that I have not played these stages myself, and I can't really access them anymore obviously, even though I have access to a Chinese account now. So feel free to take my advice with a grain of salt. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the Monday-Tuesday fight, which is the final Winter Night. This fight uses the Time Rift 14-7 map, which is the giant lake map as you can see on screen here. Player units will spawn on the north and east sides of this map, and your goal here is to protect an angel NPC that spawns in the north end of the map and rout all the enemies that appear. This angel NPC cannot be healed, so you need to manage its HP carefully. As for the enemies, there are multiple ghosts that spawn right below the angels, there are many hellhounds, there are lava titans, cyclops, and harpies. There are also a number of mages that spawn at the bottom of the map right from the beginning that will attack the angel from infinite range. Now most of these enemies are unremarkable, but it should be noted that the ghosts that spawn right below the angel need to be killed before you can effectively damage the other enemies on the map. And these ghosts respawn pretty much every turn, and you need to take care of them each turn if you want to get rid of all the other enemies. So because on this map the stats are actually scaled very low, the easiest way to take care of these ghosts is actually to bring in 2 summoner units. Obvious choices include Liana, Bozel, Lana, Gizaroff. Of course many of these units require runestones, but that's just the way it is. You don't absolutely require summoners to be able to beat this map, it just makes it go a lot smoother. So with 2 summoners plus 2 summons, you can easily kill all 4 of the ghosts every single turn. That leaves it open for your other units to go down and kill the other enemies. So because this is such a large map, the obvious choice here is to use flyer or cavalry units or some other type of long leg unit. If they can use AoEs, then it's all the better. Units like Leonhardt can kill many enemies in one turn, and Sherry of course is always useful in PvE to take out several weak enemies at once. One of the important things is to get down to the south end of the map as quickly as you can to take care of those mages before they kill the angel. Aside from using the aforementioned long-legged units, you can also just use teleport. If you have Betty built, you can also park Betty next to the angel. The mages will just kill themselves from Betty's fixed damage effect. I know Betty's not a very commonly built unit, but if you are one of those people who has Betty built, this is her time to shine. Outside of that, this fight is relatively straightforward. The hellhounds can move pretty far, so you do need to be careful of that, but aside from that, the enemies are very weak. You should be able to one-shot pretty much all of them, and that's pretty much all there is to say about this fight. The second fight is called Hymn of the Melting Snow, which takes place on Wednesday and Thursday. This map uses a snowy version of the Time Rift 1-1 map. Player units spawn in the middle of the field, and once again your goal is to protect an NPC. In this map, 6 Yetis will be spawning around the NPC, 2 of them to the north, 2 of them to the west, and 2 of them to the east. Simply put, these Yetis are basically immune to damage, and they do a lot of damage when they attack you. However, your angel NPC can also cast a breath-style line AoE in one direction each turn, which debuffs these Yetis. Once they are debuffed, they will take 50% HP damage every time you attack them, This only counts on player phase, and you cannot use AoEs to activate this effect. The Angel also simultaneously lowers the movement of all the units around her, so once again bringing high movement units can be useful. The final mechanic of this map is that each turn, one set of balloons and 2 Christmas trees will be spawning near the Angel. Stepping on the balloon will give you a buff that allows you to cleanse that movement down that the Angel gave you. And stepping on the Christmas trees will not only reduce the damage you take from the Yetis, but also allow you to guard units within 2 spaces. And finally, I should note that summoners will be highly favored in this map, but you should not be using your summons to try to get the Christmas trees or the balloons. Now moving on to some of the more specific things to strategize for this fight. You can bring a tank to add an extra layer of protection around the Angel, because we all know that 2 layers protection is always a good idea. Much like the last map, summoners are quite useful, but in this case you can actually have everybody bring a summoner if you want, because once again stats don't really matter that much. Once the Yetis are debuffed, you just need to poke them twice and they die. Most notably, Liana's Sky Archer is quite good because it has Gale. Aside from that, once again, long leg characters are quite good, especially because the Angel will debuff your movement. Once again, Luna is quite useful because she can use Wind Spiral to pick up some of the buffs. She also has Gale to move again sometimes. And you can also see I posted 2 pictures here that show the damage difference for when you pick up the Christmas tree and when you don't. As you can see in the picture, Ultimiller basically lost all his soldiers when he tanked a hit without the Christmas tree buff, whereas the Liana, who picked up the Christmas tree buff, basically took no damage. Again, this is a pretty simple and easy fight. Not something to worry too much about, just understand the mechanics and you'll be fine. So let's move on to the final one for Friday and Saturday, which is Curse of the Monsoon. This map uses the Sleipnir map, which I don't think I need to describe because many of you have PTSD from fighting Sleipnir. The objective for this map is to beat a boss, in this case a Valkyrie. So at the beginning of this fight, 4 stone monuments will be spawning around the room. Touching the stone monument will allow you to get a buff that allows you to tag the Valkyrie with a fixed damage debuff. And this is pretty much the only way you can damage the Valkyrie in this fight. This buff can also be passed on to your allies by ending your turn next to them. And because those stone monuments are consumed and do not return, if the buff ever falls down and nobody has it, then it's game over. It's actually quite similar to a challenge fight we had a couple months ago. In addition, the boss also spawns a bunch of ads that can cleanse the buff away from you. The first one is an Angel that does a 3x5 breath style AoE, and the other one is a Unicorn that does a 1-ring AoE. The Valkyrie herself can also do a 2-ring AoE around her. This does come with a warning beforehand, so you don't need to worry too much about it. As for what units to bring, bringing units that can move far and move again like Luna and Leon are quite good, for obvious reasons. You can attack the Valkyrie and then move back next to your allies to pass on the buff. And once again, stats barely matter for this mode. You don't have to bring Luna and Leon. Like I said, these fights are scaled quite low, so I've seen people beat this fight with a variety of units. Using units like Leon and Luna just makes it go a little bit faster, and that's about it. Again, understand the mechanics and you'll be fine. And that's pretty much all I have to say about these fights. As you can probably tell, these fights don't seem to be too much trouble, but hopefully you'll find this information useful. And I hope all of you will easily get the win on your first try for all of these fights. Well, with all that out of the way, next time we can talk about Angelica. So once again, this is Fjarlar, and I'll see you guys next time.